welcome to 50/50 Media's review of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+. I'm going to be your host, Cynic, and together today we're going to watch some highlights out of Obi-Wan Kenobi and discuss various things like plot holes, bad story, bad writing, bad acting, bad costume design, and various other things that I just didn't like about this episode. And the worst part about all of it is I actually did have hope for this, and this first episode did have some promise when I first saw it, despite having quite a few flaws. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this.
What do we do now? We run.
So, stop it right there and just go ahead and say that I actually kind of enjoyed this scene. There are some parts I didn't like about it. The fight choreography wasn't the greatest, but they definitely had a good story here. Some younglings were being taught by the Jedi, and Order 66 happens. Jedi Temple gets assaulted by the 501st, and just seeing some Jedi protect the younglings, it was pretty cool. I do believe that character that tells the group that they gotta run, I do believe that is a character we're gonna meet a little bit later on. The costume designing here is terrible, by the way. All the Imperial outfits, they look bad. The citizens of Tatooine look like their costumes had more thought and work put into them than these Imperial ones. These just look like they're made of plastic.
You know who we are.
Inquisitors.
You know what we do?
You hunt Jedi.
In actuality, I would say Jedi hunt themselves. Do you know the key to hunting Jedi, friend? It is patience. Jedi cannot help what
Really,
they
the only part of this scene that I had a problem
Their
with
compassion
is just
leaves a
how
trail.
slow his delivery of speech
For
is.
example, in our
He just
line
takes
of
forever to
work,
get to the point here.
rumors
But I do kind of like
run
the idea of it.
rampant.
He's
Here's
hunting
one I
them
heard
using their
just recently.
compassion.
It involves a Jedi.
Finally,
shade
we were
from
right here at the end of his
suns,
monologue.
But the stories they
Starting to wrap it
begin
up.
and they travel
He's finally
quickly.
about to get to the
His
point, and it's
compassion
just
has
about
been
this
his
time.
undoing.
Yep. He's gonna lose her patience, throw it, and for some reason this guy still has his hand up. Like, the Jedi have to be focusing on it. Like, he just made it left off to the side or something.
Prepare him for interrogation.
And
You're
he's
wasting your
obviously
time, you know that,
cornered.
right? You'll never find us all.
Tries to kill him, and the Grand Inquisitor is stopping him. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Why? He just pushed her out of the way, let him go, and they're
You
putting no
are
effort
reckless.
whatsoever into actually catching this
What
guy.
is after scraps?
Scraps are all we have left.
Really
Then
well
we should
done.
be hunting bigger prey.
He is not yours to find.
And
We
then
are
that
past
whole
this,
line right
third
there
sister. I
about
will not warn you
if
again. You will forget this fixation
we should be
with
hunting
Kenobi,
bigger
or
prey,
I will relieve you
but
of your
all we have left are
duties. Is that
scraps.
clear?
Well, if all we have left are scraps, that means there is no bigger prey.
Yes.
I mean, of course, they're referring to Obi-Wan, but I believe that's his way of saying that Obi-Wan isn't theirs to hunt. Are they going to go on after him? Before we move on to this scene, I just wanted to say that with the Inquisitors, I just think that that whole opening scene just kind of shows them to be weak. They should try to have more of an intimidating presence. It doesn't seem that they're able to pull it off, and they don't even seem to be trying. Very low effort. And here we go, we have some kind of meat butchering facility out in the middle of the desert, and they're harvesting an animal that's been laying there rotting in the suns for how long? And I guess my big question in this moment is he stealing that, or does he have permission to take it? I kind of think he's stealing it.
It's only half. Please,
See, I believe in this moment, this would have been, if the writing was better and Obi-Wan was written a little bit better and actually had maintained his use of the Force, he probably could have snuck in a Force persuasion here, a Jedi mind trick, and convinced this guy to give this guy his proper amount of money, and I think that would have been a pretty neat little scene. And they love their callbacks, and that's a callback to A New Hope when he uses it on the stormtroopers.
I have a family.
But he doesn't do
One more
that.
word, I take it all.
He just watches this guy get bullied.
Keep moving.
And then I'm assuming that he also takes half pay.
Something you want to
Does
say?
this guy know that he's taking meat? Or is Obi-Wan taking the meat because he's only going to get half pay? Or are they only getting half pay because he's stealing meat? So we run through the monotonous day-to-day for Obi-Wan, in which it seems he does very little in actually watching over Luke or anything like that. And he takes his stolen meat back to his, I believe it's an EOP, something like that. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Feeds the stolen meat, who is just strapped in here all day. No one messes with it, no one tries to steal it. I mean, this is Tatooine, this is Mos Eisley, I'm assuming. And I thought it was a den of thievery or thieves and villainy. He comes home, makes some dinner, and then this Jawa comes over, sells him the little toy plane that he's gonna end up giving to Luke.
I'll give you 50.
And it's supposed to be a reference to the little toy that Luke plays with in A New Hope. Little Easter egg
He's
in
had
there.
some parts stolen. I need a new processor board.
And then his equipment breaks down.
If you're going to steal
And it
my
happens
parts
to
and then
be
sell them
that
back
this
to me, could you
Jawa
at least
stole
clean
part
them
out of
first,
it
as a courtesy?
and is trying to sell it back to him. And my question is, does he actually pay for it? I don't think he does. I think he just gives him the 75 for the plane. Now we have him waking up in the middle of the night. Master Qui-Gon? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Master Qui-Gon.
Master? I mean, he should be meditating on the Force. I mean, in 10 years, I would think that if he had followed Yoda's instructions, he would have already been communicating with Qui-Gon Jinn. But even if he wasn't, he should at least be attempting to through meditation, like how we've always seen Force users meditate to do stuff like that. Expand their comprehension of the Force. And now we have Obi-Wan riding on over here, goes to Luke's house, sits here and watches Luke and Owen working on the farm. It would be nice if the show was about Luke. And seeing Joel Edgerton come back, seeing him play Owen, I think he did a fantastic job. Really good actor. And there's Luke. Yep, he's a racer / pilot, just like his father. Looks just like Anakin. Reminds him of Phantom Menace. Where he's in. Then we move on to the middle of the night, and he's gonna sneak over to Luke's house and drop off the toy. And then he's going home, and somehow someone's followed him.
You're making
So
some kind of mistake.
he escaped
sorry,
the Sith
I'm
Inquisitors,
sorry.
saw
You're looking for
Obi-Wan,
somebody else.
recognized him,
What are you doing here, Obi-Wan?
My name
followed
is Ben.
him to his house,
Come on, please.
followed him to
Please.
Owen's house, and
have no
is
idea
now
what I've been through.
confronting him and asking for his help. And Obi-Wan's denying everything, and then it basically says that the ways of the Jedi are dead. And the problem I have with this is he shouldn't be like that. Like, even if he was just trying to get rid of him because he didn't want any extra attention or anyone coming to Tatooine for any reason, he should have at least told this guy to go do better things. Like, go somewhere else, help people, keep the Jedi spirit alive.
You
But
must
no,
leave.
Instead, we get this,
You'll draw too much attention.
But I have nowhere
which
to go.
still,
They're
how
hunting
did
me.
he
They have
actually
to help
find
me.
this guy? And it's kind of weird that it took him so
Cool,
long to
man.
actually
Take
interact
this.
with him if he had been
Walk
following
into the
him from
middle of
town.
the desert and bury it in the ground. Stay hidden. Live a normal life.
What about the people that need us? What about the fight?
The fight is done. We lost.
What happened to you? You were once a great Jedi.
The time of the Jedi is over.
Yeah,
Go back
he
to the
just
town.
gives up, tells the guy to go bury his
Let it
lightsaber, go back to town and try to live a normal life. Which there's Sith Inquisitors in town, and if he buries his lightsaber, he'll be unarmed against them if it came down to a showdown. And now we get into this part that is about little Princess Leia and one of her little friends, handmaiden, have pulled a trick on the mom because she has run off into the woods to go climb a tree with her little droid. Epic music. She gets up here and she starts watching the ships flying out.
Medical fighter, pleasure barge, boring.
Basically coming up with like backstories for
Dino
them.
ship.
What are they doing? What kind of ships they are.
Ooh, a tri-wing. That's a new one. Ooh, an Aquilian Ranger.
Then
Probably
her mom shows
skeleton
up.
on
She gets in
fire.
trouble. Mom takes the droid away. She takes the droid back. We see a scene of a creepy guy sitting there staring, watching, waiting. Which, so this is nobility on Alderaan. I believe Bail Organa is king of Alderaan. And this area around the main part of his house is accessible by apparently just anybody, unless this guy ends up being particularly skilled. So Obi-Wan steals the meat again. See it go through the same routine. Comes back, this time, as he's feeding horse.
I want
Owen
you to
shows
stay
up
away from
to give back the toy.
We don't need anything from you, Ben.
It's just a toy.
And see,
It's a
this is
lot
kind
more
of the
than
thing that would have
There's
been
more
more
to life
interesting to
than your
focus
farm,
on,
Owen.
is the relationship
He needs
between
to see that. There's a
Obi-Wan
whole
and
galaxy
Owen,
out there.
I'm asking you.
and Obi-Wan's
Leave us
mission
alone, Ben.
to protect Luke,
I mean it.
Is he
and
okay?
Owen's desire for him to not become a Jedi.
You don't care if he's okay. You care if he's
It's
showing.
my responsibility, Owen.
And
I'm his
see,
uncle.
We
it really doesn't help that in this scene, Obi-Wan has just said that if Luke is showing signs of Force sensitivity, he needs to be trained as a Jedi. But he literally, just a couple scenes ago, that we saw Obi-Wan in, like the previous night, he just told the other Jedi that the Jedi are gone and that the Jedi, it's over. Battle's over. We lost. Bury your lightsaber. Give up. But then here he is just saying that he's going to train Luke. So, a little strange.
talked about this. When the time comes, he must be trained.
Like you trained his father. Anakin
And of course,
is
you gotta
dead.
love Owens.
Ben.
Come back to that like you treated his father.
And I won't let you make the same mistake twice. So leave him on the farm with his family, where he belongs.
I would think, though, that if Obi-Wan were to actually train Luke, even if it started at this age, he probably would do things a little differently. He wouldn't try to be Luke's friend as much as he was Anakin's. He would try to make sure that he treated him like a true Padawan and actually mentored him and made sure that he was on the right path.
Know why we are here. There's a Jedi hiding on this planet. We need to know where we
Or you'll be punished.
River!
Hands go first.
Now we got this scene. So the Inquisitors come back, they're still hunting for the Jedi, and the fifth brother says, we'll reward you, compensate you for your information, and then Reva's gonna step in and start threatening people, and Obi-Wan's just off in a corner sitting there watching.
That way, when you reach for anything, you think of us.
And she's just walking around, talking about cutting people's hands off.
You have no rights here. We're not under the Empire's.
There goes one. And of course, fifth brother is very upset with her, but he doesn't stop her at this
knows
point.
anything
No, not yet.
about
He hasn't gone
a
too
Jedi.
far.
You know something?
Now she's gonna pick Owen out of a crowd randomly.
What's your name?
Owen.
Owen. Farmer.
What's
right?
Obi-Wan gonna do?
Wife? Kids?
Families of no concern to
They
you.
might be. You got a Jedi on that farm too?
No.
Why should I believe you?
I have no love for the Jedi. Jedi vermin. Kill vermin on my farm.
You protect your family.
And see, the funny thing here is he's actually being truthful when he says he has no love for the Jedi because he's not a fan of them. He wasn't a fan of Anakin, and he wasn't a fan of Obi-Wan or the Jedi as a whole.
You think you could protect them from me?
Because he believes that part of this
Tell
was
me where
caused
the
because of the
Jedi
Jedi,
is, or
along with the
this
Sith.
man and his family die! The Jedi are cowards. They failed you, abandoned you. There is no point in protecting them. They would not do the same, but you can save this
Obi-Wan, I
man.
remind you, is still just sitting there watching this all unfold. I mean, I know he can't really
Save
draw
his
attention to
family.
himself. But I would also think that he wouldn't be able to let anything happen to Owen.
No! If you remember anything.
But lucky for Obi-Wan Kenobi, fifth brother steps in and saves Owen. What would have happened if Reva had actually killed him and then fulfilled what she had just said, where she was going to go kill his family as well? So that means that she was going to go after Luke. I guess Obi-Wan was just going to go there and watch that happen too.
Rewards will be given.
And then, of course, fifth brother takes Reva into the alleyway and scolds her.
You are too impulsive.
And it's a really weird dynamic.
Sick of wasting time. This
Like,
place is
when you
beneath
see
us.
all of the
Grand
Inquisitors
Inquisitor
together,
was right.
the fifth
Still want
brother
Kenobi.
and the Grand Inquisitor and the other
But he's
chick,
gone. And you won't
they all
find
seem
him.
on the same page of
Spent
like
the
this
last 10 years looking
moderately
for him.
evil gray area.
Maybe
Like they
you've been
have
looking in
evil
the wrong
plots and
places.
schemes, but
What is
overall
it
they
you
just
think
want
you
to
will gain by capturing him?
When I'm
win.
old.
It's all about winning. But with Reva, she seems very rageful, very
careful,
impulsive,
third
very
sister. Too
evil.
far.
Perhaps the
you
evilest
don't go far
of the
enough.
four Inquisitors that we get to see. All three so far.
Thank you, Owen.
Then they leave. Obi-Wan says thank you. Owen says he didn't do it for Obi-Wan, obviously, which I love their exchange. Like I said, that's part of what I mean when I say I feel like this show did have some promise. Seeing the Owen and Obi-Wan talking to each other and the way they interact, and then Obi-Wan trying to push the training of Luke and being a little closer and more involved. That could have proved to be an interesting story, even if you just paired that simply with him meditating and having flashbacks to the prequels. You could almost do like a 50-50 thing. 50-50. You could do a 50-50 thing where you show prequel scenes, but you could use new ones that you film with Hayden and Ewan, which you got Hayden back for this show. I hope we get to see Anakin, because if it's just him in the suit, then that's going to eventually get pretty boring. I want to see Hayden, otherwise what does it matter that he's back? So we get to this part, and we get some good interaction. Jimmy Smith's back playing Bail Organa. Glad that he's back for it, but I don't know how much he's actually going to be in it. Probably just this episode. But then we get this
That's
scene
when I'm
here
talking to you.
where
You know the difference between you and me, cousin? I know.
Leia has this interaction with her
Well,
cousin,
my father says they never let you leave this planet.
and he belittles her,
They don't want anybody to know about you
talks
because
down to her and
you're not one of
everything.
us. You're not even a real Organa.
You're scared of him. Your father. You want him to like you, so
And
you
here
keep
it
what
seems
he
like
says,
she's
even
using
though you
force
don't
powers
really know what it means.
to sense
You think
his
being like
emotion,
him will make
to
people
know
frightened
kind
of
of what
you,
he's thinking,
but
because
really,
it
you're
seems
the
similar
one
to
who's
how a
scared.
Jedi would
Never made one decision
reach out
for
and
yourself
feel
in your
what a
entire
person
life,
is
and you
thinking,
never will.
in a way.
I may not have seen my cousin.
But Leia never really
But I
displayed
can
much
see
of that until later in the series. I believe Return of the Jedi was the first time we ever saw her
He's
do
being
something like that,
horrible
where
to
she
everyone.
could
He's
sense
your
the
cousin.
Force.
He's rude.
You have to rise above Leia.
And then Leia gets another talking to. Doesn't want to listen to her mom. Bale's going to end up having to do it. We'll get past that. The one thing I do want to say here, though, is I do appreciate the idea of the good father moment. Like, Bale is having a heart-to-heart with his daughter, and I don't know. I appreciate that kind of stuff, especially in modern-day entertainment. But, of course, Leia ditches,
Send a unit.
and
Can't be
they
far.
send guards after, which I find it weird that exit or entrance isn't guarded. There's nobody there watching it, especially if she's known to do this. And
Why
then she
you
just
here?
runs into this guy,
Just
and
waiting.
somehow he's just gotten
For
this
what?
close to the building,
For you.
and him and his two goons are about to enter what is probably one of the funniest chase scenes. I mean, they don't even really look like they're running after her. I've heard other people say stuff like, it looks like she's being chased by adults at a children's birthday party. Slides under that, that guy can clearly step over it, but he just moves around it. This one runs right into the tree, like, very oddly. Could have caught it right there, had to slowly go over it instead of jumping, and then still tripped anyway. It's caught up on this little V of a tree, could have clearly went around it. And then runs down here, runs right into the guy, and then jukes him, and gets caught. We'll go back to Obi-Wan. He's gonna get a message from Bale, asking about Obi-Wan helping with Leia.
Whoever they are, they knew where she would be. They were waiting.
She needs you, Obi-Wan.
And
We can't
the
trust
issue,
What
we'll
about
get
the
into that here
Senate?
in a minute.
Cannot let
So, the idea is that Bail is reaching out to Obi-Wan for help. Obi-Wan's the only one that he can entrust with this mission. He's the only one that he can entrust with Leia because he's the only one who knows who Leia is, and he's the only one that knows how important she is. Yeah. Then we get a scene of Leia fighting against the captors. Then we go back to Obi-Wan at work, still stealing his meat, moving on. And then we get to this scene, and Obi-Wan arrives in town to find the Jedi dead. So he probably did come back to town without his lightsaber and ended up getting killed by the Inquisitors. I'm sure Obi-Wan feels really good about that. And he gets back, and his little sensor thing shows up, and here we
He's headed
have
for
Bail
Daiyu.
Organa showing up.
Should not
The
have
phone call
come.
didn't work, so he decided to show up in
They hid
person.
their signature behind
Somehow
the freight
tracked down,
transport.
knew exactly
The
where
ship is on
Obi-Wan
its way there
was.
now.
I don't remember him ever being told the location
She's
of
my
exactly
daughter,
where
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan was.
I
I
told
mean,
you.
perhaps he knew where
I'm not the man
Owen
you
was.
remember.
Well, you're
but
going to have to be.
I can't leave
How
the
would he know
boy.
where
This isn't
Obi-Wan
about the
is?
boy, and you know it. You've made
I guess he
mistakes.
could have
We all
tracked
did. The
the
past.
communication device.
Move on. Be done with it. You couldn't save Anakin, but you can save her.
And what if I can't?
There is no one I trust
All
more
of
with
Bale's
my
logic,
child.
the dialogue here, like his reasoning for this
Please.
is just
Old friend.
so incredibly
For her.
dumb.
One last fight.
So, let's talk about that for a moment. So, Vale, who is at the very least high nobility on Alderaan, he has a plethora of guards, probably has a personal army, and he could send any number of those people, and they are loyal to his family, they are loyal to Alderaan, and Leia is a princess of Alderaan. They would take that very seriously, and they would put their very best effort into finding her. And at the very least, if you wanted it to be secretive and hire a bounty hunter, the way bounty hunters work is they do what they're told, and then you pay them money. So if your mission was to get her back unharmed, that would become their mission, and all you would have to do is pay for it, which I'm sure the treasury vaults on Alderaan are quite stuffed full of gold, considering how nice all their stuff is. So we have Leia here. The robot tries to help her escape, and the bounty hunter comes in and stops her. And we get to this scene. So Obi-Wan walks out into the middle of the desert. It's a desert. There's, winds, and shifts. It doesn't always look exactly the same, and goes to the exact spot, starts digging.
This is a bad idea. Kids, you think it's gonna work?
I
Just
have
get
to
this
agree with
over
that
with.
guy. This is a bad idea. Yep, keeps on digging. And look at that perfectly dug hole right around the box in the exact spot where he buried his lightsabers. I'm guessing 9 years ago, 10 years ago. That's pretty crazy.
You sure he's gonna come?
Fought beside a father during. He'll come. He won't be able to help. The Jedi will hunt himself.
Alright, before we get to how this episode closes out, let's just discuss this for a moment. So, Reva, she's somehow knows that Bail and Obi-Wan have a connection. How does she know that? And even if somehow she knew that Bail and Obi-Wan did interact with each other during the Clone Wars, which I would say isn't that unusual for a senator and a Jedi Master who was a general during the Clone Wars, to have some kind of communication. So I wouldn't consider that odd with any senator. But then to think that if you kidnap Bail Organa's daughter, if you capture Bail Organa's daughter, Obi-Wan will come to her rescue. In what world does that make any sense? How could she possibly know that? And if that were true, wouldn't that make Bail Organa a traitor to the Empire? Am I crazy here? That's true. He would be a traitor to the Empire as soon as anybody found out that he had that direct of a connection to Obi-Wan. And in my opinion, the fact that Obi-Wan does come after her makes me really question about who the daughter is. Especially if you follow that trail back and find out that she's adopted, then you could follow a trail back further, perhaps you could try. I mean, you probably wouldn't have any luck, but the fact that you wouldn't be able to find any other truth behind who this daughter is or where she comes from or who her parents were. But why would Obi-Wan be that invested in Bail Organa's daughter? That'd be my question. But now we'll get to this ending. And Obi-Wan is going to leave the planet to go save Leia. He's going to leave the planet while there are currently Inquisitors there.
Well,
or at least they were the last time that he knew of. and one of them threatened to kill Owen and Luke and Aunt Beru, and he's gonna just leave them unprotected. And then that scene right there, like he brandishes his lightsaber for the whole world to see. There are little parts of this that have quite a bit of promise, but overall, not very impressed with this first episode. We'll see where they go with it, but if this is any indication, it's probably just going to continually get worse. We'll have to just keep watching them and reviewing them, find out. I do appreciate if you've stuck around this long, and I hope that you like what you've heard today, and if you do, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so that you get future alerts. We're going to be coming out with a lot of content here coming up, and we're also going to be starting up a 50/50 gaming channel, and on that we're going to be doing a lot of play as videos, where we're going to do various different games titles, pretty much whatever the players want to play. Yeah, so if you're interested in gaming, you can check that channel out. That'll have a lot of upcoming content as well. Again, thank you for watching. I've been Cynic, and this is 50/50 Media.